Hello, and welcome to your Shiro Abhyanga treatment. We are going to be just taking a peek at the scalp real quick to make sure there isn't any wounds or spots we should avoid. Any contraindications, of which I'm not seeing any. So, why don't we get straight into it, and we'll get our oil here. So, Shiro Abhyanga literally means head massage, with Shiro being head and Abhyanga referring to massage. And I'm just going to start by warming up the oil here. And since this originates in India, quite literally, this is an Indian head massage. However, that kind of massage, that name tends to refer to a more westernized version, which is much different. Well, maybe not much different, but quite a bit different. So we're starting by adding the oil to the scalp. We're not going so much for the hair, although we will be running it through there as well. But I want to focus here on the scalp. So, Shiro Abhyanga is an ancient practice, an Ayurvedic practice. I'm just going to run this through the hair here. Just the excess that I have on my fingers. And Ayurveda is essentially traditional Indian medicine. And it's been around for a very long time. And actually the practice of Shiro Abhyanga is also quite old, quite ancient. It is said that it is described in this Ayurvedic foundational text, which I will probably butcher because I am embarrassingly monolingual, called the Sharaka Samhita, Compendium Medicine, which dates to roughly the 1st century of the Common Era. There, I'll just close that. Now, how we start here is we want to work in the direction of the hair. So from the top, going down, and we're going to use the fingertips. The start of this is concerned with the application of the oil. So this is going to be a good portion of the treatment, is these fingertip circles applying the oil Ayurveda, it is recommended, encouraged to do Shiro Abhyanga daily, or at least as often as one can. This application of the oil to the scalp and subsequent massage. And why that is because in Ayurveda, the body is treated or is viewed as an inverted tree, with the roots at the top, the trunk, and then the branches extending outwards as the limbs. So, in order to promote healthiness, prevent dysfunction, then you treat the roots of the tree. You treat the head of the body. And that's what this treatment does. It's often used for different ailments and things of that sort that arise from the neck up. However, it is also said to be incredibly beneficial, specifically for insomnia and sleep disorders. I'm going to run my fingers through there. Just this a little pause from the finger circles, my fingertips. So in a full-blown Ayurvedic treatment, and I have to remind and emphasize here that Ayurveda is used as medicine. So this treatment is thought of as a medical treatment. So there are different things that have to be taken into account. We're choosing things like the oil or the additives to the oil. For example, the prakriti, there we go, of a person or their constitution has to be kept in mind, as well as the vikriti, or the type of ailment, and the doshas. And the doshas are kind of like, it's a bit of a big concept to try to put very simply, but they are these substances that are made from the 5 elements recognized in Ayurveda. And very loosely, they could correspond to the European Four Humors philosophy, where the Kapha dosha represents or is related to phlegm. The Pitta dosha is bile, yellow bile. And the Vata dosha, I'm just going to run my hands through there. The Vata dosha is sometimes translated as air or wind, but not quite either. So, a lot of times the oil, for example, is chosen according to the dasha, with sesame oil being a universal tri-dashic oil that can be used. I'm going to use my fingers in this little zigzag motion here. And we're just going to go along the scalp. Like I said before, the Indian head massage is somewhat similar. I think it's quite different than Shiro Abhyanga, because Indian head massage can be used without oil, and often is, and often involves the face, the shoulders, the neck, and Shiro Abhyanga. It has a requirement of oil application, and while certainly you can add in like the temples and the neck with the oil application, there is a real focus on the scalp and nourishing the oil, or nourishing the scalp rather, with the oil, letting the scalp absorb the oil. Just using my fingertips to glide through the hair. Good. How is the pressure, by the way? This tends to be very light instead of really vigorous. Okay. Good to know. We don't want to go too hard. That's not the point of this. Good. Just using one hand here. Work the oil into the scalp. Now, Shiro Abhyanga is, sometimes you will see it referred to as a combining of two separate treatments or concepts of treatments, which is Shirodara and Abhyanga. Abhyanga being massage, Shirodara being the application of oil stripped down onto the head. Just getting the very top of the head here. So here we're combining the application of oil and adding in the massage. Side and back. The other side here. Back. Good. Both hands. little zigzags here. And something else important here in this massage is that we are stimulating what are called marrow points, which you can think of like acupuncture points in traditional Chinese medicine. And if you look at the marrow point distribution, a lot of them are focused on the face and head. We're also stimulating those little points with this massage. Big portion of this massage is focused on the oil and the scalp absorbing the oil, working it in. Running through the hair. Good. Stroking through, which this brings blood circulation to the scalp, nourishes, moisturizes the hair from where it comes out of the scalp all the way to the ends of the hair. Just doing our gentle finger circles, keeping it nice and light. The other side, making sure my arms don't get tired. Then when we get into more of the dedicated massage, we will switch it up quite a bit, add a lot more into it. Good. You'll give me just a moment. Seem to be having my hair want to get involved, so we're just going to sweep that back real quick. There we are. And then we can jump right back in. Here we are. Kneading the scalp just with my fingertips. We'll throw in a little more of a vigorous move or two. We get towards that part of the massage. Good. And our Zig-Zags are main to this part of the massage, but then we're going to switch it up a bit. The back of the head. Now we are going to do some hair twists and gentle pulls. So we'll twist the hair, run my finger close to the scalp, and gently add a bit of traction here. Pull, twist, pull, twist. With pull, twist, pull, twist, pull, twist, pull, all over the scalp. Just adding that little bit traction, little bit of lift to the scalp. A little bit more circulation. Encouraging. Twist. Pull. Twist. You know, it's kind of funny while we're doing this oil massage here. Start right back here with the twists and pulls. That, in thinking of oil, I had watched something recently on the ocean sunfish, the mola, which is a very strange looking fish. It is a fish head with the fins at the back. It looks very, very strange, very goofy looking, but it succeeds quite thoroughly in its niche, and these fish can get gigantic, thousands of pounds, compared to when they're babies. They're so tiny and they're spiky because they're related to the puffer fish, but when they get to more of a regular fish form, at least for the mola, then they turn into these fish heads with back fins. Very odd. Very odd shape, but obviously it works. And I've been watching a follow-up video about the molas, and it was answering questions about them. And one person asked if we could get oil from molas, like whale oil, for example, which used to be used quite a bit for lighting oil. And molas, the reason they can get so big is because they are primarily made of like collagen and water, and collagen is very metabolically cheap for an organism to create. Although my joints and connective tissue did not get the memo. Thank you, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. But lipids in a mola, which is fat, which is oil. And there was a little bit of talk about oil in general, and it was mentioned that really any oil can be used to be burnt to light, and even in ancient Roman times, olive oil was used for lamps. I am going to do some very gentle hacking on the scalp. So you put your hands together, loose wrists here, and gently bounce the hands off the head in this bit of percussive motion. Just go all over the head. Yeah, I found that quite fascinating because, that does make quite a bit of sense to use olive oil for lamps. If you have it, that'll work. But I'd never consciously put the two together. Good. Now let's get back into those fingertip strokes here. Do a little bit of stimulating and a little bit of soothing. So yes, mola, very odd fish. They're extraordinarily successful in their niche. They eat things like jellyfish and other small little fish, basically what they can fit in their mouths. And if they get a chunk bitten out of them by, say, a shark, one of its few predators, then mostly what a shark gets a bite of is just collagen and water. So not really anything that is too dire for the mola. Good. So yes, Hank Green taught me a lot about mola and how very cool they are, even though the internet has decided they are a weird and dumb fish, when in fact they are perhaps weird and perhaps dumb looking. They are absolutely killing it at the game. Alright, both hands here. The back. Sides. And the top. Coming down. Running my fingers through the hair. Just using one hand to run through the hair. Stroke, stroke, stroke. Back to our finger circles. You can definitely feel a lot of that residual oil has been quite a bit absorbed. I'm just getting a little bit left on my hands as I work it through. Ayurvedic treatment here. This particular treatment recommends that after you don't eat heavy meals, you don't go out in the sun, you don't physically exert yourself too much, don't drink cold beverages, sleep with wet hair, or take naps. And you don't do this treatment when someone has a cold or related illness, or if they have a cough, any sort of respiratory thing. And things like headaches, this is used for migraine, eye problems, like we said before. Just really anything from the neck up is what Shiro Abhyanga is supposed to be good for. Calm the nervous system, that sort of thing. Both hands working on and back, working my way from the top here down, going in the direction of the hair. Speaking of things in the ocean, like the mola, which has quite a big distribution around the world, and they are very fascinating fish. It's worth it to give at least even just the Wikipedia article a little peruse. Can't even imagine how big those things get. I mean, from, a little larva the size of your fingernail, fit on your fingernail, looks like a little puffer fish, and then something that is a couple tons, perhaps. I think maybe they said 3,000 was something that they caught. On average, like a ton, but they can get bigger than that. But the ocean is something, we just don't even know what's there. There's so much. And what we do know that's in there, we know so little about. It's really quite something. We've discovered thousands and thousands and thousands of species over the last 20 years. And even still, the amount of things that we know are in the ocean is equivalent to a drop of the ocean, basically. But a lot of those are, real deep sea creatures. It's hard to see them, find them, and get data on them. Okay, so I'm going to use my hands to squeeze the sides of the head and the front and the back. So we're just going to squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. From the forehead and the back here. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. we are going to, basically, I'm going to put my fingers into the hair and then scrunch it up a bit so that I can pull on the scalp very gently. So it's like if you put your hands through your hair, gripped a little, and pulled. So I'm just going to do this one hand at a time. So I'm just running my fingers in the hair, grabbing a bit, and pulling a bit. Kind of a scrunching motion. Okay, the other hand at the back here. Good. And here then, scrunch the hair, pull a little, scrunch, pull, scrunch, scrunch, pull, scrunch, pull. Good. Squeeze right up here. Scrunch a little and pull. We're just creating a bit of separation here, and that's excellent for releasing tension in the scalp. The back here, scrunching and pulling, scrunching and pulling, and then we can come back to our hair twists and pulls, twist, pull, twist, pull, twist, pull. You know, of all the things in the ocean, my particular favorite fish is the mandarin fish. I do like lionfish quite a bit as well, but mandarin fish are so beautifully vibrant and bright. I wonder, they're also very little. Smaller than my hand, and bright colors are often for venomous capabilities or as a mating show like peacocks. So I wonder why the mandarin fish is so vibrant and has so many colors. But I also like, I can't remember if it's a type of whale, type of shark where, if I recall correctly, it's kind of a blue color with all these dots on it. I'll have to see. I'll have to look that up maybe, because I faintly remember drawing my favorite fish, and that was one of them. Or I suppose if it is a whale, my favorite creatures in the ocean. Twist, pull, twist, pull, twist, and pull. I'll have to look at that again. I remember being just so fascinated with everything at the Shed Aquarium in Chicago. I haven't been in years, but I always like going for the stingray touch. Love touching stingrays. And getting to touch the little corals and the starfish and just so amazing. Chicago. It's my absolute favorite city. I can never live there. It's just too loud, although I would have loved the opportunity to. But that means that I get the excellent opportunity to very occasionally visit, which makes it all the more special. If I lived there, I worry that it would lose that luster. Although it would be really nice to just go to the Field Museum whenever I wanted, or the aquarium, or the Bean, the Cloud Gate. Alright, let's do our finger circles. We're getting towards the end here. Chicago, if you ever get a chance to go, I highly recommend it. It's just so beautiful. Every single time I go, it's just wonderful. And I got the wonderful privilege of going last autumn for a punk festival, and we parked quite a bit away, and we walked through one of the Spanish districts, and being from, again, a very monolingual area, I didn't grow up that way. I actually grew up in a majority bilingual area. But I've spent most of my time at this point in places where everything's in English, so being somewhere where everything's in Spanish or in both English and Spanish, it was so great. Got to just walk around Chicago. So yeah, Chicago, absolutely worth it. The lake, the skyline, Cloud Gate, Millennium Park, the botanical garden there. Museums. It's all worth it. So, I'm going to do one last little zig and zag. And then you will be all set. And I shan't forget to mention the Art Institute of Chicago. It's one of my favorite places to go as well. I've been many times, but not in years. Not in years. The Art Institute, definitely one of the best parts as well. I've only got to go to the Field Museum just once, so I'd love to go again if you get the chance. Alright, so let me just wipe off my hands a bit. Now, the oil is supposed to be left in the hair and on the scalp for a period of time. And it's really up to you. I mean, if you just really can't stand the feeling of oil, you can definitely wash it out. But I would recommend just wrapping your hair up in a towel so it doesn't get anywhere. But the minimum you want to leave it in is an hour. But the maximum and more recommended time is 3 hours. But you make it work as you'd like. And like to thank you so much for allowing me to perform this Shiro Abhyanga treatment, this Indian head massage for you. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you.